Brad here from West Bend Dyno Tuning. Today we're going to talk about prepping your car for the dyno. One of the things that we do in-house here at West Bend Dyno is we have a tuning spec sheet that you're going to fill out, and you're basically going to give us a build of your car on paper. That way we can take a look at things like the fuel system, your pump, your injectors, to see if it's sized correctly before the car gets to us, so we can let you know before you spend money and put it on the dyno if something's going to work or not.
Yeah, that ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna.
We can't, I guess, foresee a pump that's going bad, but we can definitely tell you, hey, the power that you're planning on making that pump and injectors won't keep up, or you do have big enough pump and injector. So that's one of the biggest things that we have the spec sheet for, so we can look at your car on paper and help decide whether it's built the way it should be or not. Next thing would be your ignition system. We see a lot of people that have the wrong spark plugs altogether. We see them gapped incorrectly, the wrong heat range. So definitely that's something you want to make sure you put on that tuning spec sheet, what type of plugs you have, what they're gapped at, what your goal is for how much boost you want to make, if it's boosted or if it's naturally aspirated, what's the compression ratio, what type of fuel you're running. That's another thing when you bring it to us. Make sure that you have the proper fuel that you're going to be running in the car when it's tuned, and make sure you have a full tank of fuel. The only thing that sucks if you have a full tank of fuel is if we have to rip it apart and pull your pump out or something. And then the basics, make sure everything's full of, you got fuel, you got oil, you got power steering, brake, coolant, everything is bled out and installed properly. Another thing that we see on your ignition systems, we see a lot of burnt spark plug wires, some of the simple stuff. When you're gonna run the car before you bring it to us and you have big injectors in it and you don't wanna run it because you don't wanna fall out the plugs, put your stock injectors back in, get it running, let it idle, get it up to temperature, make sure there's no leaks and everything's running properly. And then when you shut it off and bring it to the dyno, then you can always throw those injectors back in, or we can do it for you once it gets here so that you don't have to worry about falling plugs and what have you. Tires, another big thing. We see a lot of cars that come here where the tires are bald, they're dry rotted, they're the wrong speed rating. Something to point out, especially when it comes to pinion angle and drive shaft length and diameter and tire ratings, is this car in 1-to-1 gear. When we run your car in the dyno, it's gonna run in 1-to-1 gear. You don't see that too often on the road, maybe at the racetrack, but when people drive these cars on the street, you're not gonna see it in 1-to-1 gear all the way through the RPM band. So some of these cars see 150, 160, 170 miles an hour in 1-to-1 gear. So you wanna make sure your tires are rated properly. If it's a street car that's gonna get driven on the street, we're gonna test it on the street. So we want it to be safe. So that's one of the biggest things with the driveline. Fire hazards. We see a lot of cars that come in here and people kind of get disappointed in us because we don't want to tune it, but we've had stuff happen on the dyno and on the street. We've had fires from fuel, we've had fires from oil, we've had them from electrical stuff. So we're going to take a little look at, we can't forecast and see everything, but we're going to look at your car and we're going to see, how is the wiring? Do we see any bare wires? Are we comfortable with how you have it wired? Your fuel system, do you have fuel lines running close to something that's hot, like your exhaust? So those are some of the things that we like you to be aware of before you bring your car to the dyno, and that'll help everybody out in the long run. It'll be cheaper for you, less headaches for us. We're not gonna have to call you and say, hey, got your car on the dyno, ready to tune it, but you got a fuel line touching your exhaust and we don't wanna run it up through the RPM until we fix that. So then you either gotta pay us or you gotta come pick it up and take it home and do it yourself. And then you might bring it back and then the next thing surfaces. So the more things you can have in order before you bring it to us, the better. So if any other questions, give us a call at 262-692-9035 or check us out at westbenddyno.com.